next speaker. His name is Jim Rowe. He is the founder of the Caregiver Project, and I have had several great calls with him, and he's doing some really exciting stuff around wages. And Jim, I'm going to let you take it from there.
Great. Well, thank you, Matt, and beautiful words, Terry. As Matt said, I'm the founder of the Caregiver Project. Before that, from 1992 to 2019, I owned 3 nursing homes and an assisted living in Northwest Washington. And in our facilities, we employed something called the Eden Alternative because we knew that we needed to elevate caregivers, nursing assistants, that they knew the most about the residents, and they were the ones who needed to be making the critical decisions, not being micromanaged by other staff. We enjoyed the lowest turnover in our state, in our 2 nursing homes. And, with that, I think we got the best care. You cannot have good care or great care without great frontline staff, and that means nursing assistants. There's no other way to get there. You can have the best director of nursing, a great administrator, but if you don't have great caregivers, the care isn't going to be there. Not how it should. In August of 2017, I was walking my dog through one of our local parks, and I ran into one of our long-term nursing assistants, and she was there with her 4 children camping in this park. Sadly, she wasn't camping. They were living there. And that was my moment. I just said to myself, something has to change. This lady, one of our hardest workers, first person to pick up extra shifts so that her co-workers didn't have to work short. I was on a mission from there, and I will remain on a mission until we change things. This past August, I wrote a letter to Washington State U.S. Senator Patty Murray, who I've been a longtime supporter and I think a friend of, advocating for a national $12 an hour raise through a wage subsidy for all our nursing assistants and home care workers in America. And you might say, wow, that's a lot of money. But I'll tell you later why I believe that it costs the federal government nothing to do it. Why I think it needs to happen, really 3 things. Morally, this is the right thing to do. It's the hardest, most important work that occurs in this country. Another reason that we've got to do something really bold is that we need 8 million new caregivers, NACs, and home care workers just to care for our country, for our people, by 2028. That's a PHI number. And, probably deepest and most important, America is in the middle of a moral failing. Not only are we failing nursing assistants and other caregivers, but by virtue of that, we are failing our elderly and disabled. And I think now is the time to do something really bold. You have to look no further than the president's infrastructure plan. And I'm going to quote him. He talks about an economy of care lifting mostly women, and most of them women of color, to a living wage. They've been underpaid too long, and it has to change. Soon, the infrastructure plan will go to the House and the Senate back in Washington, D.C., and our chance to elevate this group of people probably is never been brighter. In the Senate, it will go to the Senate Help Committee, Health, Education, Labor, and Pensions, where Senator Murray, my senator, is the chair of that committee. And I'd like to read you a statement she put out last Tuesday to give you an idea of just how serious she is. She said, "The country has long had a caregiving crisis. I hear from people with disabilities and older Americans who can't get the care they need or are relegated to institutions, women dropping out of the workforce to care for loved ones, and caregivers disproportionately women and women of color aren't getting the wages and the benefits they deserve. While the caregiving crisis has always made life harder for working families and families of color, the pandemic has made it even more clear just how desperately our country needs what she calls a caregiving infrastructure. And she had been with Washington State caregivers the day before back in Washington. The investment in caregivers in the American Rescue Plan was an important down payment to get us through this crisis. And I am thrilled that the American Jobs Plan marks a historic shift in how we value this care and this essential workforce, which has been undervalued and underpaid for far too long. Democrats understand, in the same way that we need roads and bridges, helping working families manage caregiving responsibilities and ensuring people with disabilities and older Americans get the care they need to live independently, and investing in caregivers, nursing assistants, and home care workers can be a critical part of our economic recovery. And I don't know about you, but I've never heard that either of those two things, either from the president or from such an influential senator in my lifetime. If there ever a silver lining to COVID, I think to some extent it's that it shined a light on what I always felt was the most important work in America, now becoming the most dangerous work in America. And that we are never going to get the numbers we need of people taking the plunge and becoming caregivers and then being able to stay caregivers for a career. Becoming a nurse because you need to make more money isn't what we want. We want you to want to become a registered nurse, okay? But we want you, if your calling is a caregiver, to stay a caregiver for your career, and not a career in poverty, okay? A career with a living wage, a fair wage, where you can take care of your own family. So often our caregivers are not only making a sacrifice to do what they love, which they shouldn't make, but they're also sacrificing time from their families and the quality of life that they can provide for their families. So I do think now is our time. Senator Murray is joined by Senator Casey from Pennsylvania, who says we need a national caregiving corps. He said that also last week. The light is shining on us, and it's our opportunity. And you might think $12, Jim, never happened. Well, we got to put caregivers, nursing assistants above fast food and Walmart and some of these other folks. And it's no disrespect to people who want to work there, but I got to tell you, the work's more important. It just is. And the benefits need to be there too. We have the support of the Costco founders, Jim and Jan Senegal, who really think that this project is important. And we need Costco type benefits for our caregivers as well. That's time off in multiple weeks. I think 4 weeks of vacation is what it takes to be a caregiver, because the work is emotionally and physically so demanding like no other. That once every 3 months having a week off paid and being able to afford to take the time off and not have to cash in your vacation because you can't afford to be off, that needs to be a piece of it. And decent insurance. No worker in America needs to have good insurance like our caregivers. We need them healthy to take care of our elderly and our disabled. And that was shown through too in COVID. The work is nothing short of sacred, and it can be so beautiful. It can be so beautiful. But right now, I see things like the article in the New York Times about the certified nursing assistant in Brooklyn who had to make decisions about whose hand to hold while they were dying during COVID. And, I talked about bad wages and benefits, but that'll also drive you away from caregiving because it makes you hopeless. And we can't be hopeless in this situation. It needs to be a hopeful thing.
Thank you so much, Jim.
You bet.
Where can people go to find out more information on your project?
thecaregiveract.com. And it talks about who to contact, talks a lot about why I say this is free, but the savings and safety net benefits, the amount care improves when we have the right amount of well-trained caregivers is amazing. I mean, we work short in most of the country right now, every day.
I think what you have said really resonates with a lot of people on this call, and I genuinely hope that those viewing today, either on Zoom or on Facebook or wherever, YouTube, wherever you are, check out that. Go ahead and say it one more time for me, Jim.
Caregiveract.com.
thecaregiveract.com. Thank you so much, Jim, and I really appreciate you being on today.
And my kudos to all the CNAs for what you choose to do. The work is sacred. Thank you.
Thank you.